The injunction was being sought here today, or the adjournment?
The adjournment was being sought today because currently we're going into an election first and foremost, so we want to know that there's going to be concrete proceedings going forward. But essentially speaking, we didn't want any decision to be rendered on this hearing or on this case with respect to the REA. So going into an election that poses some problematic issues, so we're willing to adjourn until June 23rd, at which time we can then continue our proceedings with the JR.
Did this mostly come up after Mr. Morriseau told you that no decision was going to be made when he told you the Premier and the MOE wouldn't make a decision?
Absolutely. They both did make statements, and in essence it has changed somewhat of the course of how we're proceeding in the matter. But we do expect that that statement will be adhered to and that there will be something more concrete based going forward, especially after the elections, if per se the government, the Liberals do get in.
Yeah, I mean, if they do get back in, given what he said there, I mean, how well does that bode for your case here to not see this happen?
We're hoping we hope it bodes very well, but again, after the elections, I mean, we have an expectation that the Liberals will step up and they will reaffirm their decision and reaffirm their statements that they did make during the campaigns.
Horizon Wind has now been consented to participate. Just a little on that.
They've consented to the adjournment. Beyond that, I can't say how much more they will consent, but having said that, I mean, we're at the point now where we need to have a little bit more depth into this entire hearing and into the entire case between Horizon, Fort William, and the Crown. Was
there a reason why you allowed them to participate in this whole proceedings, though?
To enable them to participate in these particular proceedings is only because they're the ones, essentially this is where it starts, is with them. So we have no issue with them intervening. We have no issue with them being a part of the proceedings, and if anything, I think it's beneficial that they hear from the First Nation themselves a lot of the issues and concerns that we have consistently raised since the onset of the project.
There was a so go ahead.
What's your ultimate goal in these proceedings?
Stop the project, plain and simple. I mean, you know what, with respect to everything that the First Nation has gone through, the resources that we've had to expend and the time and energy all over historic agreements that are currently in place, which again is our treaty and our rights, I want to see this through. And you know, it's very tiring, and the tireless efforts that we've put forward, I think, need to be honored and recognized, especially through those fundamental rights outlined in our treaty.
There was a deadline to have consultation wrapped up by Monday. I guess what kind of consultation has been going on over the past few weeks?
There hasn't been consultation. If anything, it's been more correspondence between Fort William First Nation and the Crown. But in terms of consultation, we have not formally engaged in any.
And is there anything scheduled?
Not at this moment.
And that was kind of part of this all, is that there needed to be more consultation before any decisions were made. So.
Absolutely, and there's been no consultation, therefore we still stand firm in the fact that no decision should be or ought to be rendered on this case.
Can you go over a little bit the reasons behind the treaty explanation for why there shouldn't be the action by Horizon up on the Nor'westers?
With respect to the location, for instance, up in the Nor'westers, I know I've heard the arguments in that because it's leased land, it's therefore private land. But at the end of the day, those lands fall within the immediate jurisdiction of the Robinson Superior 1850 Treaty, which is clearly outlined. I think a lot of the times we remiss ourselves in assuming that because they're historic agreements, they're historic. Well, they're not historic. They're very much alive today, and that is exactly why we stand here to support, and we stand here to reaffirm our jurisdiction and assert those treaty rights and title for the First Nation people.